Namaste everyone, Ram here, Dana Hacker. I'm back for another video. As usual, please, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, smash that like button, and also hit the notification bell so you can find out when we upload new videos. If you haven't checked out our previous content, please do so. There's a lot of great content there if you want to learn how to live a healthier and stress-free life. Ultimately, what I teach is not to manage conditions or manage stress, is to eradicate those conditions altogether. Because I'm on a mission to eliminate two things from your life that are huge obstacles for your ability to get deeper into your life, to know where you're coming from, where you're going, why are you really here on earth. It's not to do what you're currently doing. Guarantee you that. For the majority of the people, you are misaligned with what you're meant to do in this world, and it's causing a lot of pain and suffering, a lot of problems. Let's gain clarity, and so that you can actually get to where you want to get to by breaking free from disease and attachment, our two main obstacles that cause pain and suffering. So there is a way to learn how to live in balance, and that's what I teach at Master Zen Fruit and at the Hacker Secrets and the Art of Stress-Free Living. If you want more information on that, check out the links below. Okay, I also have a book in the last stages of editing. If you want to be a part of the book launch team to learn how to master yoga and to learn about spiritual evolution and what is self-realization, all these taught in a way as has not been seen before. You really want to get on that book and get that book for free way in advance than anybody else is going to have access to this book. It has the foreword from a yoga legend, Sri Dharma Mitra. You really don't want to miss out that opportunity if you're interested. All right, today I have a great video. I was doing a little digging. I noticed there really isn't great information on mindful eating. I'll likely be doing one as well on mindful walking, but today these are two topics that are in the Art of Stress-Free Living book. How to reprogram your life from the inside out. You can get the book on the link below, or you can private message me if you want a signed physical copy. All right? So in that book, I discuss mindful eating and of course mindful walking as well. The goal of both of these exercises is to do something that we often don't do, which is to be here now, as the great Ram Dass would say. It's being more present in the moment. And I've been on record as stating that it is in the now, in the present only, that healing can occur. So more often than not, we don't heal ourselves because we spend a bulk of our time daydreaming, not really in the past or the present. We're daydreaming on fantasy. We spend 30% of our time, you really know this is actually real studies, you may not know this, but you spend 30% of your time on average not here. Then if you tack on not just daydreaming, but maybe thinking about the future, planning for a future that may or may not happen, or worried about that future, getting anxious about it, whether it's a test, a deadline, whatever it may be, or you're stuck in the past. Stuck in the past, longing for the past can bring a lot of pain and suffering, can leave you stuck maybe in depression. So finding a way to be here now is a key ingredient to being healthy and happy. Mindful eating is a great way to do that. Below, I share a link of an article on medium.com that I wrote a couple weeks ago on apples. And so today I'm going to teach you how to properly eat an apple and what are some of the things that you're missing that are contained in this apple. So in that article, I talk about bacteria. And you may think, oh, gross, bacteria is not good for you. But remember, if you check out some of my previous work where I talk about pre and probiotics, you'll learn how bacteria are so important for the health of your body. Not only are they found on the outside of your body, but also, which is still the outside of your body, your digestive and nasal passages. And oftentimes what we do is we damage this bacteria, maybe overwashing or using chemicals, antibacterial soaps, let's say bactericidal products that damage the natural flora. You do not want to damage these. We may eat the wrong foods, put in toxic chemicals in our body, put in heavily oxidized foods that generate chemicals that are damaging not just to the DNA of our cells, but to the DNA of our natural bacteria. So what happens is now I have bacteria that land in my body, foreign bacteria that are damaging to me, that may cause disease, they don't have any competition and they can settle in my throat, in my nasal passages, wherever, or in my gut and cause disease. Of course, I've written about before and talked about before how there is a connection between these natural flora, especially in my gut, and brain health, mental health, immunity. So it has a number of benefits that you want to consider. So knowing the development of how this came to be, what was this before? This was a flower. All fruits are man-made. They may seem like they came from nature, but if you go and you look at the literature, natural selection cannot explain these. Darwin was stooped as to this and other phenomena, just like flying, like wings. It just really didn't make any sense to have certain things that were just such huge leaps. And particularly for plants, this is a huge energy investment. If I look at it now, it makes some sense. I'm offering something that an animal will eat, and they will then spread the seeds somewhere else. But there were already tactics that trees already had to spread their seed that were a lot more efficient and cheap. These were created by humans. These were flowers. And these flowers, which are very difficult to explain again by natural selection, are exposed to the outside world. What's in this outside world? A lot of microorganisms. Microorganisms that landed on the flower. The flower was like this is where the stem would be. The flower is pointing upwards. You can see down here, these are the leftovers of some of what that used to be. And when that got pollinated, fertilized, it developed into a fruit. It started to develop, harden, get a little bit denser and heavier, and eventually it dropped and it was hanging on a tree until somebody peeled it off, or until it falls to the ground. So oftentimes, if I ask somebody, what do you eat of the apple? Some people may say, hey, I'll peel the skin. I don't like the skin. And then I'll cut the inside, the flesh, and I'll throw away the core. Well, let me tell you, if you're doing those two things, you're throwing away the core and throwing the skin, you're throwing away two very important parts of the apple. A lot of the good stuff is on the skin, but of course, it's organic. If you're not eating organic, then some of the chemicals that are sprayed may be, and are likely are, on the flesh, on the outside flesh, and also have seeped in. I just had a student study on this. Some of those chemicals actually seep into the flesh itself. This is not impermeable. So some of that is actually in the tissue itself that you eat. So not only is this healthy for you if it's organic, it's healthier for the planet. And two, the bacteria that this possesses that are highly, highly beneficial for your health are much more enriched if they are organic. And 90% of the bacteria that is beneficial for you is in the core itself. All right? So when you eat an apple, or any fruit really for that matter, you really want to go and eat all of it with care. And as I'll teach today, with presence. So a practice that we're going to do today, as I cut this, dates back to very ancient times. This used to even be practiced in the Dark Ages, in the Middle Ages, with the Templars. So I'm just going to section the apple off. So oftentimes we ignore this core. This core actually used to be exposed to the outside world. This is loaded with very important bacteria that you want to eat. Again, 90% of them reside right here. So this is something you don't want to ignore. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cut this apple into small pieces. And I'm going to illustrate something which is, so here I have a little piece. Normally you would probably eat it like this, but I just cut it, and so I can illustrate something, a point I'm going to make now. So a practice that the Templars, going back to the Templars, had, and this is a practice that dates way back, is a practice of moderation, of learning how much you put into your mouth so that you don't really kind of are shoving food into your mouth and mindlessly chewing and swallowing foods that are not properly digested in the mouth. So the mouth has some digestive enzymes. It also has your teeth that are involved in mechanical digestion to help make it easier for the rest of your digestive system, your stomach and your small intestine to digest. You want to make sure that you're very mindful. You take time and care to eat the food. So the practice that they used to teach the initiates was that they could only put food in their mouth that would take anywhere, depended on the teacher. Some teachers were very hardcore. Maybe they would say 3 to 5 bites. Other teachers may be between 5 and 8 bites. Some may be less lenient, say about 10. Ultimately, let's say, I'm gonna say, anything you put in your mouth cannot take more than 7 bites to be properly broken down and ready for swallow. If it takes more than that, you're putting too much in your mouth. You're being too hasty with your food. And so, of course, I'm going to be doing some talking. This would not be exactly how you would eat, but if you want better info on mindful eating, go to the Art of Stress-Free Living. You can get a link of the book. The link of the book is below. So I'm going to put this in my mouth. It takes about 10 bites, and in part is because of the skin. If I did not have the skin, then it would take less. Let's try this more one. About 8 bites. And let's try it without the skin. About 7 bites. So how big was that piece? It was about this big. Do you really eat, when you eat an apple, do you actually take little pieces like this into your mouth? Are you closing your eyes, feeling the texture in your mouth, savoring, taking in the flavor, the aroma? Remember, most of what you think is taste is actually olfaction, smell. Retronasal. Chemicals that are becoming volatile in your tongue go to the back of your throat and then up to your nose. And that's why when you have a cold, food doesn't really taste well. So to master the art of mindful eating, I suggest you start at least once or twice a week. Take at least a couple meals a week, whether it's at lunchtime or dinner time or even breakfast, where you sit quietly and you allow yourself enough time to eat calmly, carefully, with care, with mindfulness, with presence, with intention, so that when you put a piece of something in your mouth, you're not putting a lot. And you're taking your time to be there, to honor the food. The practice that I sometimes tell my clients and students is to honor the food by saying, this is Brahman, God, being offered by Brahman, God, being taken by Brahman, God. Trying to encompass a greater aspect of everything that you experience, that everything that you encounter is something divine, being offered by something divine, and being taken by something divine. If you approach every person this way, what a difference would that make? If you approached somebody as if they were God, as if they were something divine, how differently would you treat them? Imagine if you were to go back, way back in time. You're in the Middle Ages now. We're still in a monarchy. They're kings and queens. And what would you do in the presence of a king? You bow down, you say, Your Highness, you're using all these terms to show that you're showing respect, showing honor, and so showing this commitment towards that figure that you would not disrespect. And in that case, what are we doing? Are we able to do that with somebody else? Do we treat everybody as if they were royalty? Maybe start off with your children or your spouse, somebody close to you. Are you treating them as if they were royalty, as if they were a god? As if they were worthy of kissing their feet and honoring, as they do sometimes with gurus in India, where somebody will come at the guru's feet and bless them with a kiss. So, if we live as if everything that we do, whether it's the food that we eat or the people that we interact, is a divine pursuit, it is something higher that we should approach with love, honor, and respect, how much greater are we going to get? How much more will we purify our body, our mind, and our spirit? So it is in every action that we have an opportunity to be present, to provide love, honor, and respect. And so that is really the practice of mindfulness. It's really doing something that brings us into the now. And of course, in previous videos, I've discussed as well how we can do that with our breath. All too often, we're doing something, we're on the computer, we're working, we're out there in the world engaged, and we lose sense of ourselves. We're not present, kind of first person. We think we are, but we're just engaged out there, decentralized. We may be absent-minded, we may be daydreaming, we may be thinking about the past or the future. And so let's start to reel ourselves back in, become more present. And if you don't start doing these little practices once or twice a week, do some mindful eating. As I'll be describing in a future video, mindful walking. All of these things are important to bring you into the present. Am I tapping into my breath? Am I starting to slow it down, bring control to it? Lengthening the exhale. Maybe doing some pranayama. So I'm doing now some exercises, some of which I've illustrated on this channel, which you can do at any moment. I do them sometimes when I'm driving or I'm at work, on a computer. Or I just did a big presentation. I'm working with a crowd. All of a sudden I know I've given a lot. I need to kind of get myself recentralized, recharged, so that I'm here and not here. So those are the things you have to keep in mind. Number one is educate yourself as to what is the food that you're eating. Eat the food whole intact. You can see the food is starting to brown slowly but surely. The chemicals are reacting with the oxygen, it's oxidizing. If I eat foods cooked twice, fried, overheated, broken down, exposed to the air, those are actually going to be more oxidized. The chemicals on that food are going to be oxidized. They're not going to be as they were when the apple was intact. The moment I break it and start to expose it is the moment that those are going to start to change. The more I heat it, the more I cook it, the more I damage it, the more change they're going to be. Food is chemistry. So know what you're eating. Know that there are very beneficial things everywhere, in the seeds, in the core, in every single part of this apple. Love, honor, and respect it. Eat it with care. Slow down. Be present. Be mindful. So that you not only, as you do the practice of honoring, this is Brahman, being offered by Brahman, being taken by Brahman, you're actually elevating the vibration of whatever you're eating. You're elevating the vibration of your consciousness. This is leading to a purification and greater healing effect of the healthy foods that you're eating. Make sure that a whole plant-based diet becomes an integral part of your living, where at least 50% of what you eat is whole plant-based foods, so that you're actually nurturing your body. All right? So think about that. Do that practice. Try to do it at least a couple times a week. Let me know how it's going. Comment below or reach out to me at Rama's Rooted Tree on social media. A lot of the links are below as well. All right, if you also are interested, check out the article where I go into details as to the apple and how to eat it and what are some of the beneficial effects. And lastly, if you stayed until now, the Zen fruit of all Zen fruits is the pomegranate. In a future video, I'll do another mindful eating video with the pomegranate. They weren't available, they're not in season right now, but in the winter they are. And I'll be explaining why the pomegranate is the Zen of all fruits and why it's so ideal to slow the habit down of rushing, of eating too hastily, and it's a great fruit for eating mindfully. If you get one and you cut that one open, if you've never had a pomegranate, you will see why when you open it, why it's something that you just can't rush through. It requires a lot more attention and devotion when you eat it. All right? Have a beautiful day. Take care. Namaste.